Hello, hello. This is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden. And this is officially one of my final videos recorded on my shitty webcam. I ordered a webcam HD. It's got other numbers on it, and I'm going, yes. And it's like a 4K HD. That's it. It's a 4K HD. So my video quality sometime today, definitely tomorrow, is going to be like, and I'm going to be like, yes. And it's Sony. So I'm just like, yes, it's on its way. It's over in Staten Island, and it's all I can do right now not to take the train. And, well, it's Staten Island, so I'm not going to go anywhere. Anyway, so last night I had a discovery dinner. Oh, I have stuff to talk about. Hi, Discipulus. How are you? Okay, I don't date. I haven't dated in a long. I just don't because I have so many obstacles between point A and point B. Even the word date, and my subconscious mind goes, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, right?" So it's it's just there are so many obstacles, and I figured out how to maneuver stage zero of these obstacles. And I went, "Oh my God, I figured it out." So now I'm going, "All right, let's maneuver stage one." I maneuvered stage one, so now I have stage two, and I'm going, "This is where shit hits the fan." So one of my God, where do I begin? There was so much humbling experience yesterday. There was so many moments where it was just this realization of, I'm not going to be an asshole. I'm actually going to set a boundary. Or I'm not going to ghost him. I'm actually going to talk to him. Then it was, I'm not going to assume the worst and I'm going to abandon my prejudice and I'm actually going to problem solve this. And that became my habit for the whole evening. So I met this person on Monday at a poly event and he moved way too fast. And because he moved fast, I fawned. So I said yes when I didn't want to. And then I was caught in what we were doing, and I didn't have the ability to mentally stop it and shut it down when it didn't feel good because I had been triggered into fawn, which I'm still trying to figure out. So he immediately was like, "Hey, you want to go out for dinner? This is on Wednesday now. This is yesterday." And my immediate guard was he moved too fast. So I was just going to ghost him. But then I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is a great opportunity to set a boundary. Try it. So I very directly wrote this beautiful, "It moved way too fast. I'm not comfortable with it. Normally I would just ghost. Thought I would be a big person and actually explain this to you. That moved way too fast and I'm not comfortable. I'm okay with dinner, but only under these terms. Like, I don't know you. You're a stranger and I never should have said, yes, you can kiss me. I don't know. I fawned, basically. I said my fear response kicked in. He apologized profusely. We had a 30-minute conversation. I felt wonderful about it. And then I realized I sent it to the wrong person. And the person I sent it to, I didn't even kiss. Like, I'm going, dude, which tells me a lot about his fear response. Apologizing when, like, it's amazing. I love stuff like this. And I realized, wow, that actually wasn't scary at all. So it got me hyped up, like, let's do it again. We think boundaries are scary. And it's, no, boundaries aren't scary. Certain people are scary. Abusers are scary. And so we associate boundaries being scary and we confuse the two. So I took the message that I sent it to the right person this time, and he responded almost the same way. "I'm so sorry." He explained why. He's like, "I was drinking that night, and that's usually what happens." He says, "It was fast for me too." I said, "Okay." And I said again, again, right? I said to this person, "I don't mind doing a date, or not a date. I said, I don't mind taking your offer on the dinner, but this is where I am." And so we went to dinner last night, and I said, no patriarchy. Now, on this person, because he was already established poly, I'm like, okay, he's way over here as far as anti-patriarchy. So I didn't even have to go through the whole, which was really nice. And I'm like, wow. So the first thing I noticed is when you find somebody who's in your like mind, you don't have to explain yourself. That's the first takeaway. That is the first takeaway. If they are like-minded, you don't have to explain yourself, which means if you are explaining yourself, you are with the wrong person. So that was the first eye-opener, is that there was zero explanation required. I didn't have to explain why I was poly. I didn't have to explain any of it. So I'm like, there was a, let's gauge this. How much into the patriarchy are you? How out of you are it? And I said, you need to understand, I'm all the way over here. Like, I am out of it. I don't even use the same words. Like date, I said, I don't use that word. I said, this is a discovery dinner. And that's what we're sticking with. It's a discovery dinner. I said, I don't know anything about you. I'm here to figure shit out. So this is called a discovery dinner. We both agreed that we loved that. And it really set the tone. Date tells you, oh, it's romantic, there's going to be sex. Why? I don't know this person. So this is a discovery dinner. Now, discovery dinners are different, completely different. First, it's my brain. So he was very, very appreciative of my brain, which apparently I found out is very important to me. This is the first discovery dinner I've ever been at. This is like the first official, I don't do this. And I'm like, wow, all right, well, that's stage one done. And I said, let me explain this way. So I pull out my notebook and I wrote this graph. This is my column and this is his column. And it was literally a, let's sit down and write down. Basically, I said, first off, I'm going to break this down. And I said, look, for me, there's like 4 layers here. The first one is level 0, from stranger to I might be interested. Most people can't get past this first section with me. So I said, for me, kissing and touching and all that doesn't even happen until like level 2. Yeah, and I need to put that down here, that, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, if I'm not there, I said, first of all, there has to be emotional connection, there has to be intellectual connection, and then there has to be ethical connection, and then we can talk about physical. But I need to build up emotional, intellectual, and ethical first. Now, intellectual is, let's talk about something smart. Emotional, we all know what that is. But ethical, actually, I'll have to get into it, but ethical is, are you a Trump supporter? You know, that's that's ethical. That's it right there. How do you feel about guns? I could never in my life be around a hunter, fisherman, or a gun lover ever again. I can't do it. I grew up with that kind of stuff. I can't. So it was like, you know, where are you? Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? And this is important shit. This is like, let's talk about your ethics. So we talked about the ethics, and we're like, okay, so ethically he's on the same page. Monogamy, polyamory, we are both in the right headspace for that. And he was like, so emotionally, intellectually, and he's like, before you can even do physical. I said, that's right. He goes, see, I don't need that. He says, I need intellectual, and that's it. And I'm like, okay. I said, but the other thing is ethical. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, more importantly, it's this. And I broke down the ethics. And I'm like, you know, how do you feel about accountability? How do you feel about self-government? How do you feel about trusting people? And I said, the other really big part here is understanding it. How did I put it? I said, I need to know what I'm dealing with mentally and physically. Like, are you healthy? And I loved how he did this, because he was immediately like, well, everyone's got issues. What's your criteria? I said, my rule is this. Everyone has problems. Are you working on it? Bottom line, are you working on it? If you're not working on it and you know you've got problems, what are you doing here? Either you're not working on it and you don't know, which we should not even be, no. We would not even be at a dinner together. Either you know about it and you are working on it. Well, no, actually it's you don't know about it and you're not working on it. You know about it and you're not working on it. You know about it and you're working on it. you know about it and you've worked on it. And that's it. I said, I don't date anyone unless they know about it and they're working on it, and they know about it and they're done working on it. Those are the options. If you know about it and you're not working on it, no, no, not a chance in hell. And if you have no idea that you need to be working on something, really that's a hard no. And it's amazing because that really tells me where in the perspective they are as far as being perspectives 1 through 6. Because perspectives 1 through 5, like perspective 4, usually have figured out that they need help, but they don't. They don't get it. 5s are at that cusp. Some of them will, some of them won't. So 5, 6 are the I know about it and I'm working on it. 7s are the I know about it and I have done it. I've dealt with it. And it's now there's just maintenance at 7. So I'm like, okay. So it was a very, he's like, I'm always working. And that was clear. He's like, I do nothing, but it's like a 24/7 thing. I said, right, which is why we're here, which is, it's fine. Like I can tell that you're working on your shit. Like if you're not doing mental maintenance on a regular basis, at least, what are we doing here? You can't leave your mind alone and just expect it to fix itself. So we basically did this whole, I said, the other thing that a lot of people think is we have to progress through the stages at the same pace. And I said, that's not how it is. I said, you might be here and I might be here. You might be here and I might be here. And he goes, so how do we figure this out? Like, how do I said, honestly, communication. And I said, the emotional, the intellectual, the ethics. So once we got the ethics out, that was cut dry. It's like, all right, ethically, you pass. Check. It felt right. It felt good. It gave me joy. Check, check. He's polyamorous. He's open-minded about that. Check. I don't even have to do my psychological test on him. I'm going to because it's fun, but I don't have to. Which brings me down to the final 2. Yeah, he passed those 2 too because yeah. So I have a weird thing. I don't know if it's a weird thing. I think a lot of people have this actually, but there's body odor and then there's pH. And pH is a problem for me. Like, if I don't enjoy your body's pH, no. And it has nothing to do with body odor. It has nothing to do. You could shower, you can put on deodorant. pH is different. And I can't touch it. Like, your pH has to be a certain, it's basically you're either acidic or basic. Your body pH is either acidic or basic. And I don't quite know. This is chemistry. This is body chemistry. Everyone has a body pH. Everyone has it either acidic or basic, and it's on a degree. And I am strictly only into a certain, I can't remember which one I'm into, and I believe it's the opposite. So if you are basic, you're going to be attracted to acidic pHs. If you are an acidic pH, you're going to be attracted to a basic pH. Really interesting. So, yeah, really interesting. And so far this has checked out. Now my life partner is like, oh my God, I love his pH. Like, please don't wear deodorant is what I say to him. And it's great because he says the same thing to me, like, please don't wear deodorant. So it's like, yes. So it's really, it's interesting. Body pHs are extraordinary. So, and that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like, it's just, so his pH checked out. So everything like, check. Definitely want to see him again. But I'm going, okay, I've got all these landmines. And my big thing is, at what point do you communicate these landmines? At what point do you start saying, okay? So I introduced the red card. That came up. And he loved it. He explained to me some soccer terms. And I was like, awesome. Like, I said, he goes, I said, so I don't even have to explain. He goes, most people understand what a red card is. I'm like, okay, all right. I said, I just pulled it out of psychology. Like, it's a card because you're at a table, so it's more like there's a card on the table. That's something I say. And to say red card is like danger. Like, I don't want to answer that. So I was able to use it like 3 or 4 times last night, and I loved it. I realized that near the end of the evening, we got onto the topic of music, and that is a topic that really needs to be red carded for me. It started off with, ooh, let's talk about music. And then we got into it. And after about 10 minutes of back and forth, I finally went, I need to red card this. And I realized it was like a massive Foo. And it was like this, I learned a lot. I learned so much. I learned a lot. I have been isolated for so long that I lost a lot of perspective. I never gained the right perspective to understand my brain. And it all kind of came through yesterday when I was talking to him. And it was like listening to how he grew up. And then there were a few things where I was talking to him about it. And I was like, I was composing opera at 12, literally. And I'm going, I was writing books when I was like 10 years old. And I was composing counterpoint and harmony. I was analyzing opera at 14 and 15 years old. That's not normal, is it? And this is while I was studying philosophy. And it was like this massive realization of, I'm a Renaissance man. I'm a Renaissance man. And it was just this massive, oh, I need to, okay. So I had that shift in understanding last night. So it was really, it was absolutely fascinating. And then we got to this one particular conversation. I want to talk about prejudice. Prejudice was a really big part of it. And I was explaining it to him. I said, I was going to just ghost because, because of the pacing. And he was like, I'm so glad you didn't. And I'm like, yeah. I said, that is it really, is I was prejudiced because I was afraid. And I don't know when it's safe to say no. And I told him about my problem with fawning. And this is really interesting. So he was asking about it, and I said, well, it's basically a fear response where it immediately, for safety purposes, I will go along with it and say yes to ensure that I'm safe. And it's very much a say yes, pretend you love it, go along with it. And he was like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, it's actually very common. I said it's one of the basic fear responses is fawning. It's either you freeze and you completely shut down and then you fawn. And it's more like there's stages. And some people get to the flop part where they'll just freeze and then they'll just complete shut down and pass out. Other people will try and get through it and then they'll fawn and they're like, oh yeah, let's pretend. And he goes, so that's what it was. And I said, yeah, that's absolutely what it was. So we got to this discussion that we had, and we were breaking down how does a man communicate to a woman that he is safe. And I remembered back to my pet. This is my sub. And he, oh my God, he was amazing. I got to think about this. Give me a minute. I met my sub online in 2020. He's from the Bay Area. That's important. There might still be, a massive cry out of women claiming rape when there wasn't. And as a result, the men in the Bay Area became hyper aware and hyper vigilant of consent laws. And I need to clarify, not all cases. Either rape was very rampant in the Bay Area, and or women cry rape and non-consent over a lot. It's not to say that the women are gaslighting. It's not that at all. Consent is a real problem, hyper problem over in the Bay Area. So really good men, really decent people over there have learned to become hyper vigilant of consent like I've never seen anywhere else. You can tell a Bay Man area, and I don't know if this is true for women because I actually don't know any women from the Bay Area. You can tell a person from the Bay Area just by how vigilant they are over consent. It's extraordinary to watch. Like, as far as a psychological, sociological study, it's extraordinary. No one, like, they take consent to a whole nother level. So I was texting him. This is like we were sexting. Like, this was, we met online and we're both into BDSM and we're both into fantasy. So we're like doing some role playing via texting. And Even in texting, I sit a respectful distance away from you. And I went, wow. I loved it. I loved it. And there were a couple other things we did that was flirtatious, and the words he chose to use were very articulated to clarify, I'm giving you space, and I'm like, wow. And I had all this room to decide, and that's it. We're going to talk about room. We're going to talk about the bubble. This is what this kind came down to. This is what we discussed was the bubble, and yeah, it was like he was consciously aware of my boundary bubble. And I knew he was from California in the Bay Area, so that is something about him I knew. And I'm talking to him and we're going over, like we're flirting back and forth. And it got to a point where I was giving him all the signs and he still wouldn't budge. And he said something, does the lady consent? That is what he said to me. And I was like, and I said yes, the one action, and then he went right back to outside the bubble. And I went, all right, I know how to handle this. So I wrote a paragraph. I hereby henceforth give you full permission to do whatever it is you want, considering, and I listed a whole list of everything possible to cover the whole gamut. And he said, thank you. And he repeated the exact same thing back to me. And I went, holy shit, best thing in the world. Like that, boom, safety. Solidified it. Now, this is just psychological safety. This is not physical. This is just psychological safety. So I talked to him about this. I gave it all. I laid all of this out. And he was like, I was explaining to the person I was with last night, all of that. And I said, I think that's it, it was the respectful distance. It was appreciating my bubble. Just because I've invited you over to sit with me doesn't mean you get to sit inside of my bubble. And if I initiate and give you like a red flag, like, hey, I'm interested, does not give you consent to enter my bubble. This is it. We're talking about the bubble. You see, people think consent, don't touch your arm. Consent, don't touch your body. Consent, don't touch. Don't touch my bubble. That's what the consent is. Don't touch my bubble. Now, in every case where I feel safe with a man, he subconsciously acknowledges and or respects the bubble. He's not thinking, oh, I can't touch her without consent. It's, I'm not allowed to enter the bubble without her consent. So he's given me the bubble. And so that's that half of it. Now, I know exactly how to communicate that I like somebody very easily. Two things. Eye contact, smiling. Easy peasy. When you are in an atmosphere and you are looking, look around the room. If you see somebody you like, make eye contact. It's an amazing, this is the most amazing human thing there is in existence. When you look at somebody, they will feel it and they will look at you. Stare at them and they will look at you. And when they do, smile. That is pretty much all they need to say, come, I want to talk to you. And at some point during the evening, they will make an effort to go over and see you if they're interested. Now, if they're not interested, they won't. So we did that, and this was on Monday, he came over. Now the question is, who initiated? Now, I think I did, and he says I did because I made eye contact and I smiled at him. Now he came over to me. I beckoned him by doing that. I'm now the initiator. I am now the leader. This is important. I assume the role of leader, and now I am in control. Now he's also in control, but he's in control as the follower, and this is where we separated, and this is important. When you are in a social situation, there are two roles. There's the leader and the follower. And this, I can definitely say, is only applicable to early relationshiping, the very early relationshiping. This does not apply to established relationships. This is how you basically move from stranger to something. So the problem here, or the issue, is, well, it's control. It is safety and it is control. You are engaging with a stranger. That in itself is really dangerous. So you have safety to take into account and you have control. Now, you have two roles to feel safe and in control. Either person can take either role. Gender does not matter here. If you are more comfortable taking the leader, then you will default to the leader role. If you are more comfortable taking the follower role, then you will go to the follower role. Here is how you will determine this. Were you feeling safe enough to take the lead? Or are you somebody who will not initiate? If you will not initiate, then your comfort zone, and this is it right here, your comfort zone is the follower, which means you will not initiate. So are you prioritizing your comfort zone? That's it right there. You will not initiate. Now, if you are a leader, and the best way I can explain this is dominant submissive. And this is where whether you like it or not, everyone has BDSM inside of them. A leader is the dominant, the follower is the submissive. The bottom line. And the people who follow dominant basically are the people who take control by leading and directing the situation. Leading and directing. The people who are in the submissive role take comfort in being queued up and being led. They're following. Now, there's a little psychological crack that's really interesting with followers here. The real control is, imagine I'm a waiter at a table, or I'm offering you a gift. Now, there it is, I'm offering you a gift. Now, the real control of the submissive, of the follower in this case, is my control lies in whether or not I want to take it. So by looking at your gift and then walking away, that is my control. By looking at the gift offered and taking it from you, that is my control. You might offer all you want, but it's up to me to decide, do I want to take or walk away? Now, the leader is the one who makes the bid for connection. The leader is the one who proposes, who puts it out there. Now, you might be someone who's comfortable either or, and that's possible. That's fine. A lot of people do that. But when you have two people and they are strangers and they just met, when you are in that kind of a situation, if one of them feels threatened, they are not threatened. If one of them feels like, okay, I want to do X, but my safety is in question, I want to make sure this is done safely, they are going to immediately default to where they are most comfortable. This is really, really an important sorting hat kind of a moment where our subconscious mind says, where are you safest? I want X, where are you safest? So, and that's it. I want X, define the most safe route. And that's it. I saw, I wanted. Where am I most safe? For me, I am most safe leading. So I will initiate, I will be direct, I will lead. Now, I'm fine in that role. The minute the other person tries to lead, done. No, I will not fall into the submissive line. I am not safe there. I am not safe there. Absolutely not. I have to be the one making the proposition. I have to be the one presenting. I have to be the one making the offer. Which means if he makes the offer, I paralyze. I shut down. I can't do it. Because, oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. This is where I got stuck yesterday and I couldn't figure it out. I don't know how to follow. That's it. I don't know how to follow. I have no idea how to follow. Zero. So when he asked, and every time I'm asked to follow, my brain shuts down and I go, I don't know what to do with this. And that's where I fawn and I end up agreeing, and this is where the whole thing derails for me. I have zero ability to follow. So if I, and this is me, this is personally, I'm trying to figure out how to make this transference to everybody. So bear with me. Now, he can do either one. He can do either one, he said. And he definitely could. So here's where things got interesting. So I gave him eye contact, smile, which cued him in. And then I slipped into, I'm going to be the leader because that's my safe. And then he came over, follow. He accepted. He sat down. A little closer than I would have liked, but okay. We talked. And then this is again, he had too much to drink. I had too much to drink. And we had barely gotten 10 minutes of intellectual conversation in when he asked me, can I kiss you? Or whatever wording it was. And that right there was it. As soon as he asked, I fawned. And what it was up to that point was I initiated, I'm leader. He followed. I initiated where okay, now I'm directing the conversation. I could turn my body and say yes. I could inch closer to him once I felt comfortable. And it was immediately I'm in control and I'm going to decide when and where and how I move closer to you and I'm within that function. And he was doing all the receiving, and then he became the giver. And immediately I shut down because it immediately switched roles. It's like we were in this, I'm the leader, he's the follower, and then he switched. And I won't do that. I won't do that. I won't switch roles. And because we're dealing with because he's a stranger and there's alcohol involved. So I'm like, wow, this is like a highly vulnerable situation. And this is it. We are talking about a situation that is highly vulnerable. Yeah, this is it right here. We're going to get down. This is probably I'm going to talk about today is this right here. It's a highly vulnerable situation. You are literally like exposing yourself and showing things, and you're like, okay, let's do this. I want a desired response. I would like X. Now, how do we navigate to get to that point? So it was this back and forth, and I likened it last night when I was explaining all of this to him. I said, it's like I was the fisherman, and you were the fish. And I said, I threw my line out there, and you caught it. I said, because you choose to behave like a fish, you accepted the role as fish. And I said, violation of consent. Violation happens when the fish decides to take the fishing pole and do both roles. Now, I lose control because I'm the fisherman, and you're taking the pole from me, and I'm going, what are you doing? Get back in the water. and that is exactly what happened when he asked if he could kiss me. I'm going, what are you doing? Fishes don't do that. Get back in the water. Fish accept whatever bait I dangle. I dangle, you take. And then I dangle a little bit closer, and then you take. And it's interesting because, yeah, that's it right there is I'm in the middle of my bubble. Now he can come into my bubble, or I can go out of my bubble. And I needed to go out of my bubble. And that's what I was doing when I was like doing the luring. When I was luring, I was like, so it's almost like there's the leader, the follower, but there is also the chaser and the chased. Yeah, I can definitely feel that. Yeah, it's almost prey and predator. I hate using those terms. Hunter, hunted. Let's try hunter, hunted. Oh, I really wish I had better words here. And you can have both. You can be both. So you can be a leader hunter or a leader hunted. You could be a follower hunter or a follower hunted. Are you chasing or are you being chased? Now for me, I cannot be chased. If somebody chases me, we're done. That is a solid, oh, nope, we're done. Biggest problem for me because that's not safe. Now the problem is, first of all, no one knows about this stuff. This is all deep psychology. The second part of all of this is no one knows about this. So it's like, I might know about this, I might be able to do this. And now it's like, how do you communicate this to the rest of the world to say, I have a social experiment, let's do it this way. And it's an understanding of, are you the leader or the follower? And are you hunter or are you hunted? Now, I have to assume the role of the hunter, and I have to assume the role of the leader. The minute I am being hunted, there is no pursuit. I cannot be pursued. I cannot be pursued. That is a solid rule with me. That is not where I am safe. Yeah. The pursuer or the pursued. I like that. The pursuer or the pursued. So you could be a leader doing the pursuing, and that is the default patriarchal male role. Is the I'm the leader and I'm going to pursue, which means, and this is interesting, between leader and follower, leader has the control. They have the domination. Between the pursuer and the pursued, the pursuer has the control. They have the domination. So basically, in the patriarchy with traditional models, the man who's already the largest and the strongest is now taking the leader domination role and the pursuer domination role. So he's got this, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, and I'm going to lead, and I'm going to dominate, and I'm going to hunt you down. I'm not playing. Bottom line, I won't play. I'm like, really? You have 4 domination advantages. No, we're not playing. We're not playing. I am 4'11". I weigh 95 pounds. You want me to go against a 6'1" man who weighs 280 pounds, and you want to lead, and you want to pursue? Not playing. No. Like, not gonna happen. So, for me, I have to be the leader, and I have to be the one who does the chasing. And I don't do the chasing. I do the luring. Yeah, luring. I really want to say it's luring. It's the luring. I like luring because I don't chase. There is no chasing. There is no chasing. Oh, isn't that interesting? There is no hunter hunted. There is no pursue pursued. Oh my God, there it is. Oh, I see it now. It's a lure. I lure and they can accept. It's like I have a bag of Reese's Pieces and I put the Reese's Pieces on the ground. And you can pick up the Reese's Pieces and eat them and get closer. So I'm luring you and you can accept. Or you can look at the Reese's Pieces and go, this is suspicious, and walk away. Wow. That is a really different, it's luring. So I can do the luring and I can do the leader. I can be the luring leader, and that's it. Flip it around where now I can also do the accepting. I can also do the accepting. You know what? I wonder if that's what it was. When he asked, can I kiss you? Boom, it immediately went into a chase. I felt it change from luring to accepting. I felt it switch from luring to accepting over to a chase. And that's where I drop it, and that's where I shut down. It's the chase. Yeah, it's the chase. That's my trigger. Same thing happened last night. So we get to the end of the evening, and we're walking, and he says, can I hold your hand? Same thing again. I went, yeah. And he went, did you just fawn? I said, oh yeah, I absolutely did. He goes, why? I said, I don't know. I said, you asked me a question and I couldn't answer it. I blanked. Everything shut down in my mind and it became confused and I froze. And I said, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I don't know. My independence felt compromised. That was a deliberate feeling that I felt. My independence felt compromised when he asked me that. And I couldn't even explain it. And I said, wow, that was fast. That was like zero reaction time between, and it was the whole evening was luring and accepting, and then chase. And I just shut right down. It's definitely the chasing. And I told him earlier on the evening, I said, don't ask me. Don't ask me anything. If you ask, the answer, like, don't ask me. If I want it, I will ask. I will present it. I will lure you. I will tell you because I'm in the leader role if I want it, I will say I want it because I'm in the leader role. And when a follower asks and presents, you've taken the fishing pole and suddenly you're trying to lure, and I'm going, I'm not, no, no. But I can't even function at that point. I can't figure this out. It's not there. I'm missing something and it's not clicking. And because it's not clicking, I can't get it. This is what happens when I analyze with somebody. We were talking about this together last night, and this is what happens is they end up analyzing it with me, and then they put something in there and it's not logical, and then I get hung up on it, and then it derails me, and I'm going, okay, now I'm taking into account elements that aren't logically aligned, so now I'm not getting to the logic as quickly. So I have to literally completely scratch the whole thing and start it from scratch because it's not aligning and I can't quite figure out what it is. It's definitely a lure and accept. Like I propose something and my brain is going, oh, so he's not allowed to propose? No, no, not at the early vulnerable stages of safety being compromised. No, I have not yet established that it's safe. No, you can't. I'll shut down. That's game over. And that's really it, is what causes game over. Oh, I'm going to figure this shit out. I'm going to figure this out. That way I can navigate. Yeah. And this was technically my first discovery dinner. Now, the other two dinners, quote unquote, that I had were actual dates. One of them was a bait and switch. And both of them were from the patriarchy. I can't do those. Yeah, I can't do those at all. Date says you're here for sex and you're here for romantic interest and it's expected of you. I can't do date. Discovery dinner is, I don't know what this is. Let's figure this out. I've got shit to work out and navigate. So I love that discovery dinner. Yeah. There's definitely roles involved. There was definitely, yeah. And it's psychological. It's like we both immediately fell into these roles. And it's when he took both roles, both times, that I went, It's when he was switching to play both roles. Like he was wanting to dominate. And I won't. I won't. Like, nope, nope. I won't. And I'm really, really trying not to say man, woman in this concept. But this is really what I'm struggling with is it is mostly women who don't. And this is where I can really appreciate how difficult it's got to be for men. This is really where I appreciate how hard it is for men. Because the question is she abused? Isn't she? Is she patriarchy submissive slave, too obedient and aware, or isn't she? God, this is really, I feel so bad for men here. This is like, it all comes together and I'm like, oh my God, you poor men, because it's so hard. What are you dealing with? And all she's doing is, how do I survive this? Or it's, I'm a submissive, I need to break down the categories of women because that's really what it comes down to. I've had this conversation before. All right, I'm going to shut this video down. We're going to do the categories of women next, and I'm going to analyze that. So take a look at my Linktree account below. I really don't like doing any of this closing stuff. I really hate doing the closing stuff. I got to think about something better that vibrates with me a lot more. If you want to build and join my community, my city directory is below. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.